Hello, hello, Rosario. How are you?
Hi, Miguel. Great seeing you.
Same, same. So of course, everybody who watches knows how the format is. I start out by talking about how I met the guest. If I met them, sometimes I haven't met them, but with Rosario, I definitely have. And then we get into their background, and then we get into what they're doing. So Rosario is a super special person. She is one of the few women in technology in general, but she also is in AR and VR, and she has an AR startup, AR VR startup that is amazing, and I've known about it for years, and she's doing amazing things with that. But there's a lot to her. So the way I met Rosario was NAB, another NAB meeting. So I met a few people that time in Vegas, right? We were in Vegas and
Yes.
everybody. So NAB is National Association for Broadcasting. It's a huge conference every year in Las Vegas. I think it's the biggest conference in Las Vegas every year. So it's where like people in emerging tech go, people in the traditional areas of movies, films, TV production and creation. So you go there to see like the newest camera, the newest setups to do. I remember last time going and they were like AR VR stuff, and that was a while ago. So I can imagine now. So it's kind of like
Yes.
what happens in CS CES, but it's like that for
Exactly.
like the television and movie business, I guess. So I was speaking there, she was speaking there, we met, and we spoke about what we do, and I learned a lot more about your company. And why don't you tell people first, to start with your history? How'd you become a woman in tech? I know the background is a super interesting story, but I definitely want everybody else to know.
Well, Miguel, my background is very weird, good weird, because when I was a child, I was always a nerd. I mean, I love to study, to learn, to I'm a curious person. But when I was a child, my dream was to be a president of Colombia, my country, my native
Nice.
country. And why I was looking to be a president, basically because I was very concerned by education, health, work, production. I mean, I think I was concerned about people, and that was my main motivation at that time. And well, I worked hard. I studied political science with a major in economics, and I started my career in anti-corruption effectively. I worked 7 years in anti-corruption,
Wow.
mostly of them working building systems and models and platforms and actions to control big tenders. I mean, to involve citizens in the protection of the public goods. That
Wow.
was how I started my career. That was the first time I used technology to solve something. We
Hmm.
built a network. It was back in 2000. No
Wow.
Facebook yet, nothing like that.
Wow.
And
Early.
we, yes, that was, and we built a platform. It was very interesting because it was 45,000 Colombian citizens uh, registered to control and protect public wealth, public goods, and like participate with protection. And if seeing something not working well, being able to announce the facts. That way, we as I was in the government at that time. That way, we were starting an investigation about that.
Mm. Mm.
It was really interesting because it was deleting the digital fingerprint of the citizen. That way, every citizen participating was protected.
Whoa. So
Yes,
that's super ahead of his time, because right now that's super needed and it's not
I
happening
know.
yet.
The other day we were talking with my husband. Like this is something that could be useful today with the technology that we have. It could be easier to set up that. And the biggest strength of that network was the real comprehension of the what corruption was, the early patterns of it. And when I left that work, it was my first attempt to be an entrepreneur. But
Okay.
I had two very good contracts that I forgot to create a company. You know, one of
That's
those.
the best kind of entrepreneurship.
I was like a more a consultant for 2 week projects. One was with the World Bank, structuring a project to also for anti-corruption in Latin America, and the second one was with SAS Institute. That was my first approach to data. In some
Nice.
way, we were working basically finding what were those early things, facts, data, items that could bring an understanding of corruption and fraud. And it was a very nice moment, very early. But of course, I forgot to create a company. And one day I was called. Colombia started a new government in 2003. And the government was starting to change the country for good. The numbers were improving, and I was called for an interview, and I ended up as the chief of staff for the Colombian First Lady at that time.
Whoa, I didn't know that.
Those are things that is interesting because I have like multiple personalities in different moments of the life, but I really think those are the things and the reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing today. Then at that time, that was very cool. At that time, of course, I learned my country from the bottom level. I mean, I was really understanding the problems of the citizens, the people, and I was traveling all over the country every week, 4 or 5 municipalities every week.
Wow.
And it
was
was
amazing.
Beautiful moment. But at that time, I realized the power of private sector. To really make the things to happen, because the government needs to create frameworks, but the reality is that private sector is very much needed. Then I did an MBA. I prepared myself, and I jumped into create my second. At that time, it worked. My second attempt to be an entrepreneur, and I created a consulting company at that time, BC Partners. At that time, to help foreign direct investment to launch and land into Colombia.
So people that want to bring business to Colombia, they would hire you to help them do that.
Yes, we were setting up the complete operation for the client, from the financial perspective, from the operational perspective. We were, of course, the compliance thing. I had a very good background on what was Colombia from the ground. And not only but also when I was in anti-corruption, I understood a lot of things with what.
Got it. No, that makes sense.
I really understood.
What would make it something that gets flagged? So you don't want to do something that makes you look illegal if you're
Yes. How to really do the things well done, and we were advising companies, and I advised at that time a lot of companies in the energy sector. It means oil and gas, extractive industries, because Colombia had a lot of resources, and a big proportion of the GDP, Colombian GDP, still depends on it.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
Yes, then I understood from there the real pain points of private industries, and how difficult it is to train people in an efficient way, how difficult it is to really keep the bottom level of the workforce, the majority of the workers, in a safe way. And it started to give me like hints. And one day back in 2013, a Silicon Valley company doing big data and artificial intelligence at that time. It was also early. I mean,
super early. Yeah. Everything you've done. Yeah.
This company was flying drones, capturing image of the terrain, and building models of the reality.
And what year was this? What year was that?
2013.
Okay. Yeah.
It was an early moment, but when that company arrived to my company, the Silicon Valley company was acquiring a Colombian company, and that's why they arrived to my company, to my consulting office. And
so the drone company was created in Colombia, and then a Silicon Valley company acquired them.
Yes.
Wow. Nice. Okay.
And they arrived to my office, and of course, for me, that conversation was like coming back to the SAS Institute conversations. It was data, but actionable data to solve real things. And we started conversations, we started to advise them, and 6 months later, they offered me to be their global CEO, and I accepted.
Yes, yes, I remember this. This is what I remember. I didn't even know all the other stuff. Wow.
But the reality is that my real motivation is people, not technology. It's technology as a tool to solve
Cool.
things.
No doubt.
Is yes, it's not the final goal, but the way to scale solutions. Then I jumped into that company. I left my consultancy company in the hands of my team, and 2 years and something later, I was leaving that company because, of course, unfortunately, it was not my company.
Yes, yes, yes. They hired you. So as entrepreneurs, everybody watching, you once you get to a certain point, you hire a CEO, but you still own the company. So she was being hired as a CEO, but she didn't create it. So she wanted to create her own thing.
That moment was really interesting because if you see, I was the CEO who was replacing one of the founders of the initial founders after a Series A, after they started at Series A.
Oh, so they
And
got
that's really,
so a major raise, and then he was replacing himself, right? So Series A usually means about 3 to 10 million. It can be anywhere between.
was yes,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly. Yeah. And it was very interesting because, of course, that's the moment when a team of founders, there were 4 founders at that time, a team of founders start thinking, who can scale this?
Okay. Yes, yes, yes. Who has the connections and stuff to scale it? So I'm not being rude. I'm posting that you're on the
No,
show on
no,
Instagram to bring
please.
people in.
That's great. That's great. And well, then at that real time, my life changed, and that's a pivoting time, let's say, because I realized that I was not a technical person for sure at that time, but I
But you
was
knew. You knew
understanding.
a lot of things.
But
Yeah.
I was understanding very well the real problems that were needed to be solved with these technologies. Then I started to learn as a good nerd.
Ah, yes, that's what we do.
uh,
We never stop learning, right?
never,
Love it.
never, never. That's and well, at that time I started also to learn and understand the technologies and. Um, when I resigned that time, like 2 months later, coincided with my husband being appointed to work in New York, and that's why we moved to New York. I did the
Ah,
sacrifice for my husband. No.
nice, nice, nice. That's where like the universe, right, coming into play. All that stuff had to like happen for you to be in that
That was
perfect
amazing.
position. Yeah,
And when
yeah.
I moved to New York, I really started to explore different technologies. I was like in a dilemma. I can go back to the financial consulting thing, or I can start a new company. And technology will be the core of it. How to solve problems with a state of the art technology. And well, my husband saw me and like, well, like, I already know what you want, then go ahead. And
Nice.
well, I started a company in New York with 2 very good co-founders. One of those are friends since we are kids,
Oh
Lucas
wow,
Capaz.
nice.
And well, since the school time, we were in different schools, but the schools were always
Sure.
doing some things together. And the other is Tom Herman, a serial entrepreneur,
Sure.
technical, very technical one from the New York area, and he was my client of my consulting company 3 times. Then we
Mm,
know each other very well.
nice, but that's how it works, right? Like all this stuff is building up to get to where
Yes,
it is, right? You had him as a client, and now he's your partner. That's awesome. That's
yes,
awesome.
that's awesome. And both of them, well, very good supporters. I can't have better partners than
So
them.
this is VR
The
Americas you're talking about?
Americas,
All right,
yeah.
so tell everybody what VR Americas does, because this is crazy. You guys gotta understand what this. Yeah, go.
Now you understand why I'm
Yeah, yeah.
obsessive with it. Well, basically, one of the things keeping me up every night is how we, as humans, we can't keep the conversation around how we will be replacing humans by machines. And that's one of the things that I can't, it's like, no, I know it is more efficient maybe in some roles, but why we are having that question that way?
Yeah.
What we should be asking is how we can give humans technology so we can empower them in a way
Enhance,
that, yes, enhance them.
enhance.
We can give them superpowers in some way. We can make them more their operational work, because especially in the very operational level, what we are calling now essential workers, and is now
Yeah,
everybody is understanding the importance of this group.
no
You
doubt,
know,
no doubt.
when
Yeah,
I remember when doing pits, I was explaining this population without this name, and some people were like, I'm not clear who is these people. Now I have the exact name and people understand perfect. Then what we are doing is using virtual reality for the training process in a way that we can also understand the strengths of a person, the specific role of that person, and we can improve the system. And when the person or the teams are going to the field, we are supporting them with augmented reality. And what we are doing is training the system from the virtual reality in the training and the augmented reality as a visualization tool in the field.
so okay, because just in case people may not be as technical as me or you, they
That's a
may
good
not
point.
understand what she means. So what she means is Rosario's company takes virtual reality means you put on glasses and you don't see the real world. You are in this imaginary world that is created, and you are living in it in a 360 environment. You can move around or whatever it is.
Miguel, a
Hey,
small note, a side note there. That virtual reality world that we are doing is a digital twin of the real world. We are
got it.
using real world images, real world content.
Environment.
Yes.
Okay, so she's taking the real world. So let's say we're in a power plant. She's taking the real power plant, putting you
Inside of
in that
this,
world. Yes, and so that's the Oculus Go. Is that the Go?
yes, it's Oculus Go. This
Nice,
is,
nice, nice.
yeah.
So she's putting you in that power plant, training you in VR in that power plant, virtual reality. So you're like transitioned into that VR power plant. Then she's also making it so when you're in the actual power plant, you put on glasses, and now it helps you to do the work in that actual power plant.
Yes,
So you're doing
and
both worlds.
big part of the challenge is to keep it as the most affordable possible. Then we are right now working with Oculus Go because it's good enough,
Yeah, four
but
hundred
at the
dollars, right?
best price.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
really good. And in the field, we are using mobile.
Oh, that makes a lot
That
of
way,
sense because the
we're
HoloLens
keeping
is
that.
expensive. Yeah, HoloLens is
Is very.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I love it, but it's very expensive,
Yeah,
and
I
we
know, I know.
we want to go to the majority of the people, the ones who are, because that way what we are building is what when we are giving them the possibility to use this system in the training and in the field, with the data that we are gathering from there, we are producing insights for the companies. Then they are being converted as a team in the most smart in the field engine possible that we can build.
No, I love it. I've always loved the idea. I love the idea. And now the fact that you're thinking mobile first is even smarter, I think, because I always love the HoloLens. Anybody who's ever tried
I
the
love
HoloLens
them.
knows
Sure.
it's the future, but it is the future. Right now, it's like $33,000 or something like that. I forget the
Yes.
actual price, 3,500. So it's a little outside of the norm, but for enterprise may not be a huge of a problem. But you can't buy 1,000 of these things and have them for all your power plants. Well, you can, but it'll cost a lot of money. So
Miguel,
all the
there is
same is
also no. Yes, there is also for companies, for enterprises, not a lot of money. But when companies are thinking in their bottom level, 50% at least of their employees, they are not allocating all that budget. Then we need to think affordable because we really want to change the conversation about people and machines.
No, I love it. I love it because yes, we're in. I feel like we're in this weird snapshot of a time where we get to see what will happen if we allow too much automation to take over too many jobs. A
Yes.
lot of people could be living just like this if that happens. We need to have some type of hybrid. That's what I really like about your solution. You're thinking, what is a way to still include humans in the process instead of
Yeah.
thinking just remove as many humans as possible from the process, which is scary.
Also, because it's not just a discussion of income, it's
Yeah,
a discussion of purpose. What
purpose.
I'm doing, what I'm really giving, how I'm helping to build a society. then you can't take people just to the homes with an income, a basic income, thinking
Universal
that
basic
they
income.
will.
Yeah. Because you're just giving people money and still not giving them the purpose.
No, that's
Yeah.
not the point. But if you, as an employee, with your work, are really building the brain to decide the future of your industry, that's another thing.
Sure. And your knowledge of data and understanding the power of that, what do you think is the future of our data when it comes to like what you're talking about right now is we are going out, let's say in your business, right? You're going out collecting data. A lot of times that data is used to create automation that makes people less needed, right?
It's
So
true.
how do you figure to keep that,
I
in the
I
art?
think, well, when this is something we are always discussing, because one thing is when you as an entrepreneur are designing and thinking your product, and another thing is when you are selling. Then when I'm selling, I'm trying to use the less sophisticated things that could sound like I'm doing something crazy or buzzwords. But when we are thinking and dreaming in the next generation of our solutions, I really think that everything that you do in your training process and your operational day to day in the field work can be kept as inside of a blockchain or something like that, that you can already, or you can use to give any exchange. When you are moving from one company to the other, you already have knowledge that you were building inside of your part, your piece, that training that you already did, that operations that you already did, in a way that it is like the person who did 10 PhDs for some specific
Yes,
roles in research.
yes.
But in the lower level of the workforce, a PhD is not a measure. Then how you can build something equivalent with the knowledge and the training and the practice that can be like exchanged as a currency when you are changing from one company to the other or from one country to the other.
So
Is
you,
but of course that's not for sales.
sure.
That's more what we see that we can build with the technologies that the world has today.
So that reminds me of a conversation I had last week with Alex Gibson. I think you know Alex from the ARVR
Yes.
Innovate, right? So
Yes.
where he was talking about oil rigs in the middle of the ocean, they'll have to helicopter in someone to do something when you could remotely just put on the same
Operate
glasses
that.
and literally operate, and someone teaches a person how to do something. But
Yes.
now that person can have on their resume that they've done this, and now they can move up, and have a skill set that before they wouldn't even had that chance unless they
No.
went to school and something like that. So it's gonna I believe really change the way we learn and the way we move up in companies, because to
For
me
sure.
the way this learning thing happens, like I think now you can learn anything online, and imagine being able to just put glasses on and literally go step by step. So now learning is going to be less of I guess, a barrier. It's going to be like, okay,
I
you can
agree.
learn on the job, right? So you don't have to have as much education.
Yes, Miguel, I challenged myself some years ago because, of course, here is not just how you can use the technology, but how you can build it. And I
Mm.
challenged myself, and I learned how to code. I
I,
decided
yeah,
to train myself, but
that's the way to
I
do it.
can. No, but that's really good. But I can also tell people that no matter your background, today you can build your profile to solve the real problems that you want to tackle. You know what I mean? Is
Yep.
I was a person in finance, a person in whatever you want, but I went back to start again from scratch because I realized that technologies are a world where I want to be. Then I decided to learn from scratch. And for sure, the first months were like, well, I decided to start by Java. Then it was hard.
Ooh, and Java is one of the hardest ones. Whoa.
It was hard. It
Dive
was
in.
hard. For sure, it was like every day thinking like, no, I can't. I'm not able to do it. But today that I have the knowledge and I started to learn other languages and things, I really understand what is possible or not to build today, and what will be possible to be built in some years.
So I think what you just said is a super important note for anybody who's thinking about entrepreneurship, right? Rosario's background is ridiculous. She did all these things, but she still said there's a skill set that I should know to learn to do a better job as a business person in this world. So I'm going to learn it myself. And I don't think enough people do that kind of thing, especially when it comes to technology. Everybody knows technology is everything in this environment. If you don't even just dip your toe in to learn how to code, you're putting yourself at a major disadvantage, because just
Yes,
understanding how to code, it changes your whole mindset, right? Like
yes,
just learning how to
completely.
code puts you in a position to think differently, period, right? But
Completely,
now,
no change is
right?
it's amazing.
It's
I'm
amazing.
so sad and so sorry that I didn't had a role model younger when I was younger in technology, because for sure I enjoy very, I mean, I love the time when I'm developing and I'm trying and testing things.
Yes.
But I'm sorry because, well, I'm already I started after I was 40 years old. Then
But
of
see,
course
that's another big point, though. That
I
that
will never
age
be a
doesn't.
developer I would love to be, but I started.
Yeah, but it's like the famous saying, the first best time to plant trees is 100 years ago. The second best time is today, right? So you did it, and what I like about what you just said is most people feel like, oh, I'm 40, I can't do it. It's
Yeah,
too
no,
late. You learned a skill that people feel like is a young person's skill, and I'm 42. So it's like it's not something that you can't learn. I have a mentor who's 82, 81,
yeah,
and he's learning this stuff, right? So it's like
yes.
it's never too late. If you feel like technology is not for you, then you just feel like you're not gonna have a job. Like
No, no, no.
it's gonna
Today, Miguel, we are seeing it. In
seeing
some
it.
way, the complete world is feeling. We were talking as executives and organizations were like, we are ready for the digital age. And see people today, they were ready with their teams. They are not ready alone.
Yes, and exactly. And now with the remote, and not many people have lived in that environment. Like in technology is much more
No, in
advanced than
technology,
that. But
yes.
still, even them, people thinking, oh, we need to do this. Now that shock of everyone understands you have to be ready to work remote on the drop of a dime. Now
To
it's
manage
gonna
a team,
change.
to
Yep.
everything.
So that's where I thought your business has a true opportunity right now, right?
I
Like
think so.
huge. You were one of the first people I thought of, and it was like, man, I got to get you on the show. I'm glad you got to come on and we got to catch up. So,
No,
what are
thank
you
you.
thinking about now, post COVID, or even in COVID, for your current, businesses? Well, how do you see it? Also, I know you have another business too. You still consult, right? You still do the consulting
Yes,
thing.
well, when I left Sensera, the analytics and artificial intelligence company, I retook my consulting company also. But I pivoted it more into a consulting company to help other companies to adapt to the digital reality,
Yes.
to start digital transformation, to start implementing analytic platform systems or tools, or just to start understanding how to do the correct questions, business questions, when you are starting to think in data analytics. It's not the
Sure.
software, but what you want to solve with it.
Sure.
And today, and that's very interesting because we are helping companies and we are creating some information and content and things to help small business owners. I'm very concerned because, of course, underserved communities as business owners are having a hard time. And also content in Spanish, Miguel. I learned English as an adult,
Okay.
and I know how difficult is to manage crisis in another language that is not your native language.
No, that's huge.
Then
That's huge.
we are creating content. My husband also is sharing a lot of information content,
So
how to
where can people
manage
find that? Where can
crisis.
I send people to for that?
bcpartners.com.co.
All right.
The blog, we are mostly creating things for free in the content in the blog, content in the Quédate en Casa
So
tool.
BC, Bogota, Colombia, partners.co.
Partners.com.co.
.com.co.
Yes,
Com.
that's the company that I started back in 2006. That's the consulting company, but right now we are mostly using the tools, the knowledge, the experience to help small business owners, and mostly in Spanish.
Amazing. No, and like you said, I think the Spanish population is just growing and growing in countries now. I think we're heading into now more than ever just a global economy where people are going to be able to work with people anywhere in the world. Which I've
Yes.
been doing it for many years as a technologist. You too. Once we understood you can do anything from anywhere, you can work with anyone. So now people that have to think, all
It's
right,
true.
how do I make sure next time my business is in a possible pandemic, how can I still do business? They're going to have to start thinking this way too. How can I be as remote
Yes.
and working with as many people in different countries as possible? Because
Sure, sure.
right now we're shut down, but maybe another country is about to open up and you could be doing business over there.
Yes, that's true. Also, how you can convert your business in a solution. You know how you can start. I loved your entrepreneur hour because in
Thank you.
some way you are giving a lot of tools to entrepreneurs, the younger, the ones starting, the people who is not yet starting because they don't know if they want, if they are able, and I really think is a way to inspire more people, to help and to support.
Yes,
I
and
like it very much.
I'm glad we did this because I didn't even know a lot about your story, and that's the cool thing about doing this. I'm learning a lot about people. The fact that you had so many different like lives in careers before you started your business put you in a huge advantage for where you went, right? So everybody has that, right? You had jobs before you were an entrepreneur, just
Yes.
like many people, they have jobs,
Yes.
and most entrepreneurs don't just come out of college and just start a company. Most of us have jobs. So it's really about taking that unique perspective. Like you had a unique perspective with a specific geographic skill set that really helped you. And then you brought it to
Yes.
America and it helped you. And now your technology skills in this future thinking of AR, VR, I
For
think
sure.
will help immensely. And so one of the things I try to do in these conversations is where are you right now with VR of Americas? What could you use more of? What is there any type of people you're looking for that may be watching that I may be able to connect you with? So I like to bring that kind of conversation started too.
Great.
Yeah,
Great. Well, first thing, where are we? In crisis management, as almost everybody.
everyone.
Why? And that's a very good point because we are developing a system, but the industry has no standard yet, as you know. Then, big part of the thing is we were delaying some decisions for scaling up, really scaling up to the moment where these standards were agreed.
You were part
Uh,
of it too, right? You were part of helping create the standard, right?
we are participating in everything that we can, for
So talk
sure.
about that though. Talk about that
That's
specifically. I think that was a huge thing. Like, yeah,
that's a very important thing because first thing we participated with IAB, the
yeah,
International Advertising Bureau, to create the first glossaries. Why? Because that way, when we are talking about VR or about 360 content or about augmented reality, we are talking about the same things.
yes,
Second
yes,
thing, that's very important. Second thing, we are pushing and participating in groups and labs and spaces where we can help to find the best practices. Where how you can deploy in this headset, but if you have more resources and you want one more sophisticated, you can also deploy the same platform in the other ones.
yeah.
And right now is not possible. You need to deploy
Yes.
like
He's a
four,
yeah,
like
yeah.
four front ends and apps,
So
and
so in a
this
way that's hindering the growth because it becomes too expensive for companies to try and do it right. So it's kind of
Yes.
like there has to be a standard so everyone can work more efficiently and bring costs down, so more people would try
Yes.
it, right? So that,
Then
yeah,
today, or you are married with one headset, and we are not yet married with one.
you can't,
Uh,
you can't. There's not
or
enough.
no, you cannot, because we are not sure that that will be the one that will survive.
Exactly,
You know what I
exactly.
mean? And I am so sad because if the industry will have a standard already, we will be showing the world how to be productive in virtual reality.
Exactly. Right now, that's what,
This
and this
is
is
the
what I,
moment.
yeah, this is the moment that we've been waiting for, because I do believe that this has been the exact situation that once we come out of this, AR VR should explode, because we can there's
I'm sure
so many
the world,
situations right now.
the
And
world, decision makers, employees, workers, all the people understood already the value of being productive, really productive when you are remote. And
yeah,
this is what we can solve.
yeah,
Uh, but also with the headsets today, there are not any. I mean, the industry has a lack of headsets right now of hardware.
hardware, yeah, yeah,
Hardware.
yeah. Which was, it was
Then
the opposite problem like a few years ago, right? Not enough software, too much hardware.
then today, what I think is this is anticipating the market, understanding like 2 years.
Yes.
But the market will not be ready to buy and deploy and everything until 1 year, like
So,
in the
and the
next 12
problem is a
months.
lot of stuff is made in China, right? So the hardware
Is
industry.
adapting to, yes.
Yes,
That's
yes.
then I really think this is helping, but not with today's cash flow for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
Then
yeah, yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
and we were having also some revenue from creating tailor-made things for clients in marketing, advertising,
Sure.
like the majority of us in the industry.
Yeah,
Then
all of us, all of us. Anybody in AR, VR, that's the way you made your money in the beginning, because advertising
yes,
agencies have money. It's not investment, it's literally cash for services so you can
yes,
survive. The problem is there wasn't enough of it. Maybe it may grow now, but it wasn't enough of it to survive only based off.
yes.
Some
No, it's
companies were
not.
doing it, but not a lot.
It's true. That's true. Then what we are doing today is mostly being concentrated in two things. One, really doing a check of the pain points and the features that we need to solve. The real things that the industries in this crisis critical situation are suffering in a way that this is the first things that we will be tackling. You know. Second thing, development. We are working in our analytics engine. We are working in our deployment systems, let's say, and we are trying to start with something or to split a small part of our solution for quick use, like plug and play, for
Sure.
companies to start with what they already have, and well, let's see. We are taking these 90 days to adapt.
Okay, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. So you're looking for solutions that can be created. You're creating solutions right now that people can use now during this pandemic, basically.
Yes, or
Trying to
as soon as it is
as soon as it's
possible.
out. Yes,
Yes,
yes, yes, yes.
and basically we will be looking for content, real life training content for some critical processes. That could be because we are that way we are mostly concentrating the software today, not in the
Okay,
content.
sure.
Then basically anybody who has real life content, very good quality one, and the quality for us is very important because as we take the data from that environment and the interaction, as if that reality is really very close to the digital twin of that reality, is even better.
Awesome.
Uh, yes, and the second thing is we are looking for ways to connect and share with these content creators knowledge that can help them improve this quality and this capture of the reality in a way that we can start connecting this with the sensors information and the internet of things that company already have in place but they are not using enough.
So do
uh,
you focus on environments mostly, or is there things that you can train on that are not like as like based on the location?
There are some processes that are, let's say, common to many industries that don't depend on specific environments like OSHA's or
Okay.
the security, safety, healthy. All those trainings are, every industry needs to have them. They have their people trained on that. Then we can extrapolate content from one industry to the other because it works the
Yes,
same
yes.
way. All
Sure.
those yes.
That makes
Uh,
sense. That makes sense.
but other
You,
content is specifically for, I mean, like, let's say the specific power plant, Siemens, this brand, this size, this type, that what we are today trying to mix in the, or to connect with the plug and play solution is the one that is general and common for many industries.
you know what you just made me think about? My dad is a carpenter. He's a union carpenter,
Ah,
right?
great.
So they have to do trainings all the time, right? He has to I forget how, every quarter they go in and they got to take a week of training. And now they can't really do that, right? That could be an industry that you can say, okay, look, we could take those trainings and people could just do them from their house because they spend a lot of money on this training, so they could just buy the glasses, $400, and then they can get the training. It's not as
Yes.
it's not. Does the Oculus Go have hands too? You can have the
No,
hands.
just one. We are doing also for Oculus Quest.
Oculus
It's a
Quest.
little bit more expensive,
How much is the
but
Quest?
basically
How much is the Quest?
like 100 more.
Oh, that's not that much more.
No, 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 not
Okay,
that much. It's very good also.
that's
I
pretty
mean,
good.
it's really good. But of course, I mean, we don't have. Facebook just announced that they will have things in the market the next year.
Yeah,
Then we're
they got
working
stuff
for
too,
what
right?
people already have.
Facebook got rid of a lot of their VR stuff like 6 8 months ago or something like that, and now they would have been in a great position.
Imagine having spaces working. I mean, it's like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I,
yeah.
I, I think this moment is really helping us very much with the next month's sales pitch.
Yes, no doubt. Me too. AR VR is back like you wouldn't understand. Like, well, you understand more than most, but like to be able to walk in and say, "Hey, remember that? You want to be in that position again?" No, right? All right. Here's what we need to do. Yeah.
Imagine all the people trying and testing and being trained at their homes, but at the same time the company being fed by those analytics. That
Yes,
could be
yes,
amazing.
yes,
This
yes.
could be a moment when to train systems. But today, as a complete industry, we were not ready.
We're not
Also,
ready.
I think it's a moment to let the ego on the side, because many of these agreements are not done because of some brand things, and I really think this could be a nice solution for the world,
I
as we
agree.
were talking.
I agree. I agree. And I think part of it is before this, people didn't really see a place where this was needed. They're like, yeah, sure, that's a
This
good to have, nice to have, nice to have. Now that line has been crossed. There's no more nice to
yes,
have. It's a must because if you
this is not a
don't,
luxury.
you
Yes,
could really lose your business. Like many might be lost after this,
that's it.
right? And it's like, and then also right now we've been at home. Imagine the amount of training these people could have gone through right now. Like they could have came
Yes.
out with way more skills to make your company even grow bigger. So I really am interested to see what happens. I wonder, of course, budgets need to come back too, right? Which you just said, cash flow. R&D is one of the first things that kind of like get depressed once economies
Yes.
get depressed. So we'll see what happens there. But another thing I wanted you to talk about, because as an entrepreneur, I know you do this very, very well, is the speaking. You do public speaking, and you're great at it. You did a TEDx. So
Yes.
talk to me about, as an entrepreneur, when you decided to do more of that, and how'd you get into doing that? Because I think there's not enough entrepreneurs that take advantage of that opportunity.
Well, Miguel, that's a very good point, and a very good question, because in many cases we, especially female and especially well, I learned English as an adult, and
Oh, yeah, you have, yes.
for me it's a challenge. It was a challenge. Of course, it had an additional component, but in a world where selection processes are happening like 80% online based on the online information. If you are not showing your information, if you are not showing yourself, your skills, and what you can bring to a table, is very difficult. You are making yourself invisible.
Yes, it's the
Then,
ultimate resume. Like you're saying, it's the
yeah,
ultimate resume. Ultimate
then
resume.
that's why I started to share a lot in social networks and in digital. But also at the same time, I realized that every time you are telling just your story as an entrepreneur, other younger people or other people who is not yet there is finding ways or advice or small points of your conversation that are giving them tools to take decisions. And I also think that's very important. And and last but not least, the girls. I'm a big supporter of more women in tech, and the only way to really make them take the decision to keep being nerds and not to live
Hundred
the
percent.
love for
I tell this,
numbers.
no doubt. Like we work with startups. It's
Yeah.
very rare that we get a women-led startup like you, but technology and coding started out by mostly women. When coding was first came out, it was mostly
Yes,
women.
well, for sure. And Miguel is not being an entrepreneur is very difficult. You know it, of
Huh.
course. It's hard. Every day is like, oh, seriously, I need to keep
Yeah,
it.
it's the
But
yeah.
that's why you need to hear stories of people who is doing the same thing, who is having the same struggle. It means, yes, I'm here. It doesn't mean it's easy, but I really have a mission. I have a purpose that made me wake up every morning ready to give more. And I really think the only way to share that is a speaking engagements.
I love it. I love it. And what you just said just made me think about like right now, everyone is an entrepreneur. If you're not thinking right now, how can I not only be relying on one stream of income? Like even you as a startup founder, you created this VR Americas, but you said, the consulting thing can make money right now too. So let me have that going
Sure.
as well. You can't be only relying on one stream of income.
Yes.
So, right now, if you had a job and you are, not able to work, or you are, but this time is crazy. I know people that are pretty rich that are like doing different things right now to make sure they stay
Sure.
rich versus, there's
Also,
people, yeah.
when you build and you have more things and you realize that it is not, you can't take that for granted. You need to build every day to work harder to make the things. I mean, the discipline is one of those skills, and self-control and self-regulation that you need to show the people that this is not just for a cool thing to be talking about technologies and so forth. No, it's building, it's doing the daily task to accomplish that. No, it's
Yeah.
because that's the hard part of it, and you need people who is able to tell the story. I'm a Latina. I have a lot of accent.
So that's right.
Nevertheless, I
You
was
you
building
yes, and you are brave enough to do it, right? Like at the end of the day, there's a person that doesn't have some of those hurdles you had that's saying I can't do it. But for you to say, look, I had these hurdles and I still do it and I do it well and I'm respected all around the world for what I do, you shouldn't be
yes,
worried about that. You just have to, what I believe you got to get to is Rosaria's background, her story. You need to create those stories for yourself. Then you can go out and
yes.
speak about it. So that's the first thing. Go out there, dive into this, get your stories, and then it's an interesting talk, and you can get
Mm,
paid to speak, get paid to travel. It's
yes.
amazing. Like it's an amazing life. I can't imagine like I wish I would have done it
Well,
earlier.
right now, also speaking engagements are changing. Then we need to reinvent those type of things.
Yes.
But that's a nice thing to do. I mean, is
But even right now, like you can test it now easier. It's less
yes,
stressful than being on a stage. Like
yes,
I just did a keynote last week. It was weird. It was like this, but now I'm like, all right, I should do more of those right now because it'll grow and it doesn't cost me anything. It just costs me some time. Before, if you wanted to do a speaking engagement in Italy, and they
Oh
weren't able
yes,
to pay you. You had
for
to fly out there.
yes.
So in
That's
the
true.
beginning, that's what you have to do, though, right? In the very,
Yes,
very beginning, you got to pay your own way and just get that experience. But now you can get that experience without paying your own way, so it's a huge opportunity.
it's
So
true.
for the last 10 minutes, what I would like to figure out with you is there's anything you need help wise, any type of people you're looking for, of course, client types, anything. So I can we can brainstorm right now and I can think of people I connect or anybody watching can connect.
Great, Miguel. You know what I would love to have more people raising the hand and saying, "I need help right now."
Mm,
Why? Because a lot of people is having hard situations, but is not able to tell the others that they are having this problem. If there are same content creators who are doing virtual reality or very good quality content, or people who is doing volumetric capture, all those type of things, I'm very much interested to be connected. For sure, right now we are just building the strategy for the next year, but we want to see that talent. We
well, I
want to
just
be connected with them. If there are Latinas, I will love that. Of
yes,
course.
yes, yes, yes. I've been able to meet a few that are coming into technology and want to be. So definitely I can connect some of those to you. And
Nice.
definitely I'm trying to get more Latinas like you to create more content. You're doing it and that's awesome. I can point people to you, but I want more people to create content around business that are women and Hispanics. And I think you're going to be a leader that I'm going to start showing people to, because I just think there's a lot of hesitation for many reasons, but I think people just need to see role models like you and say, look, all right, she can do it, I can do it,
Yes.
and yeah. And another thing, the volumetric video. So yes, last week I did that speaking thing, and there's a volumetric video company that's reached out to me, so I'm going to talk to them. Once I understand more, I'll connect you to them.
Great, because I think we need to make more efficient the way we are creating the content for this industry.
I agree.
Um,
I agree.
it's of course in flat video. There are tricks and things that the industry is using since a lot of years, but that doesn't work the same way in our industry.
Yeah, volumetric video is another huge thing. If you don't understand what that is, just quickly, volumetric video means like holograms, right? But actual people. So if I'm holding up my hand, you can walk around my hand and see every part of my hand in volumetric video versus flat. You would just see me flat. And as you walk around me, I'll still will be flat, right? But
Yes.
volumetric lets you walk around something and see it from every angle.
Also a big part of the motivation why I get into this industry, virtual reality and augmented reality, was the data and the construction of models of the reality based on those images
Yeah.
converted into data points.
Yes.
And
I'm super interested in that.
that's big part of why this is the moment for this is the moment to start learning. If you don't know, for the people who is seeing us, if you don't know, but you are curious about this is the time to start learning. I mean,
100%.
is don't wait for tomorrow, don't wait for 1 week or
It's again
something
the trees thing,
more.
right? You should have
Yes,
learned it 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 2 years ago. But the second best time is right now, today. Just start
yes,
learning it, get involved, look up people like Rosario. I put up the site, I'm gonna put up your site again.
yes. And
Connect with her. Oh, via
VRAmericas.com.
Americas too. All right, I'm gonna add that.
Uh, Thank you. Because of course, VC Partners is more content to help the small business owners, but VR Americas, we are moving now to
VRAmericas.com, right?
yes, we are moving to EXR Americas, both domains work, and so
That's
forth.
a good
Because
idea. That's a really good idea. Yes, yes, yes. That makes a lot of
uh,
sense.
we were waiting to change the name for something happening, and I really think that's happening today. I
So I'm
mean,
gonna
that's
I'm
the
gonna also add that one too, just so if people watch this a year from now, they'll
why
know.
X for the people seeing why XR, because virtual reality is VR, augmented reality AR, mixed reality MR, and basically X is extended everything beyond the real reality.
Yes,
And
yes, yes. XR is the way our industry is pulling all this together because right now people don't understand. I'll I have people come to me like, oh, I want an augmented reality thing, but they really want a virtual reality thing.
Yes, it
Or,
is.
so it's like, it's very hard to understand right now if you're not a super technical person.
And I
So
think once there is a standard, everything will be the same, played in different volumes and in different densities.
I agree. And it will push along, because I saw this with the advertising industry. I was around early enough for when online advertising started.
Yes.
And that was the first time I saw the standards, and until now. And I remember how before there were standards, we were doing crazy things. I was doing so many things that would be so illegal right now to do. But we didn't know there was no standard, right? So
Yes,
now
yes,
there's a standard, so you can't do that. And
yes.
now with VR, it's not about legal or illegal. It's more about best user experience. So I was doing
Yes.
things where I was loading huge files into banners, like all kind of crazy
Yeah,
stuff.
that's like no,
So
but
okay, any kind of people, any people. All right, so we spoke about people that need help, um,
content creators.
creators, content creators, preferably Latina women, but women secondary. I guess
I love
men too. Yeah,
that.
content creators, and then or people that are creating VR content.
But real
Yeah.
life content for training.
Real
Real
life.
life
Got
content
it.
for training. People who
Training
already
content.
or they have already created content, or they are content creators who are very good creating the specific curriculums or training. I forgot the word. Well, that
So
has
is it
a
is it training for anything or specific industries?
no, specifically for those procedures that are like the OSHA's procedures.
OSHA's. All right.
All
OSHA for
those
that.
all those that are regulated, very well standardized, and of course, if people has other type of contents for training, I am open to see them for sure.
Okay.
But my preference and what we are looking right now for are those OSHA's procedures.
Okay.
Everything related with OSHA's.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. Okay.
Yes, yes.
So it was very, very nice catching up to you. This is
Thank you.
awesome. This is awesome. Thank you for
No,
being
Miguel,
on.
thank you, thank you.
And of course, I'm following. I want to help however I can help. So definitely you could DM me and we could talk more about how more I can help. But I love what you're doing. I've been watching it for years. You're killing it. You're doing a great job. Keep doing what you're doing. And thank you for anybody who watched. Please reach out to her. And on LinkedIn too, right? You're on LinkedIn. That's
Yes,
another good
I'm
place to find you.
everywhere as Rosario B Casas.
All right, so let
And
me add that. Let me add that.
we got Americas everywhere, or XR Americas everywhere. But through my name, you can find my companies. I'm the best influencer for my companies.
Oh yeah, that's how you gotta be. So that's another thing, right? So that's how you spell it, right? Rosario B Casas.
Yes. With a Casas. SAS.
SAS.
Great.
See, I gotta learn Spanish. See, I'm the opposite. I need to learn Spanish, even though I'm Puerto Rican, but I gotta learn it. Okay, so yes, please follow her on Instagram. What else? Twitter,
Instagram, Facebook, and
okay.
LinkedIn. I use.
Awesome, and definitely check out her talks and her company, and she'll be on again.
Thank you, Miguel.
Nice catching up.
Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you for coming.
Bye.
Bye.